Hi, everyone. Harry here to talk about a complaint or a request for disciplinary investigation is how it's called, to the Office of Disciplinary Counsel of the District of Columbia by 10 Democratic members of the U.S. Senate Committee on the Judiciary against Ed Martin Jr. So Ed Martin Jr. has really distinguished himself with a series of very unprofessional moves. He is the first guy in 50 years to be, and he's been nominated, but right now he's just the interim U.S. attorney, but he has zero prosecutorial experience, zero judicial experience, first guy in 50 years not to. And it shows because he's been doing a series of maneuvers that are really they're unprofessional and they're very contrary to DOJ practice. But in addition, they pose problems for a lawyer's normal obligations. And by the way, Martin has been a lawyer some, and most notoriously, he represented some of the January 6th defendants, though he's largely, as best we can tell, been a sort of political operative, a chief of staff to the governor, Republican governor of Missouri, and the like. But anyway, he's done some things I'll get to in a moment, but the ones that are in this letter have to do with violation of duties that every lawyer has. So this is the bar authority, and they're asking the bar authority, are these 10 senators, to investigate and possibly discipline him. All right. The number one thing he's done, which seems to me to be really indefensible, and I don't know what he's possibly going to say. He represented a client in the January 6th case, and then when he was U.S. attorney, he turned around and dismissed the case against that client. That sort of, two-step where you're on either side of the aisle, technically it's a disservice to his current client, the Department of Justice, which is a client here, and you can imagine is not getting a fair shake. I mean, Martin has come in a lot of ways, been looking to help the January 6th defendants whom he agitated in favor of before and was a Stop the Steal guy and an election denier guy and a pardon the January 6th defendants guy. But also, so here he's played dual roles as a lawyer. Not so good. So the letter from the senators say, look, while in private practice, he was in defense counsel in cases related to the January 6th attack, and he personally submitted a motion then to dismiss the felony counts against someone whom he had represented. So, and indeed, it looks as if maybe he was still technically representing, at least he hadn't recused yet from representing the very guy. So, that's really kind of no leg to stand on ethical material, and it'll be interesting what he's even gonna say, Martin. He also did not quite as severe, but he appeared as defense counsel for one of the Proud Boys who was convicted, and then he initiated this project that we've heard about, where people have to look into how these people were treated after a Supreme Court opinion. He then did recuse, but he had already started this investigation, and again, that's just not that kind of double representation. Is supposedly zealous representation of the defendant and also of DOJ. You just can't do it. He's communicated directly with January 6th defendants since he's been interim U.S. attorney. Again, you just can't do it. There are really strict rules about reaching out to people on the other side if they have lawyers and you are the prosecutor, as he was there. In general, Martin's a guy who just seems pretty clueless about all this stuff. One of the things that he's also done, and he's taken to task in the letter, he's just sent these letters out to a couple members of Congress Congressman Garcia, Senator Schumer, saying you made these statements and I want to look into them. Maybe they were threats. Really kind of silly claims. There's no way any reasonable person would take them as political threats. No way anyone could open a prosecution or investigation based on that in the department. And indeed, for the Schumer one, he's now said, never mind. Nevertheless, that's not what U.S. attorneys do. You don't reach out on your own to defendants and tell them, explain yourselves. If you either open an investigation, which you couldn't have done here, or you keep your powder dry. So they kind of recite these 4 or 5 pretty bad. At least a couple of them are very straightforward, cut and dried ethical violations. They go through the DC bar rules. Both, as the dual representation, but also the things he has done wrong as a prosecutor. And they talk about appearance of impropriety. And then they go through all kinds of other stuff. And it really is, somebody needs to tell him how things work. And there is somebody in that office. Every big office, I was in a U.S. Attorney's office, you have someone who can counsel you on ethics. I don't think he's ever thought to even mention him, but because he has there's a tweet to Elon Musk saying, we're going to pursue legal action against anyone who impedes your work. Excuse me, you represent the United States. You can't commit to that in advance without an investigation and figure things out. There's more stuff about Elon Musk. There's more stuff. This is really an over-the-top, just unprofessional move. He threatened Jack Smith. This is part of the truly outrageous attack on Covington and Burling for the big sin of representing Jack Smith. Save your receipts, Smith, and Covington will be in touch soon. That's like total jerk off maneuver. All right. So anyway, they put this all out and end by saying, this really erodes public confidence. We submit this complaint to request you initiate an investigation and take appropriate disciplinary proceedings. Presumably the bar will now go ahead with at least the investigation. How to work with Martin, it'll be, he may try to hide behind DOJ and challenge. This was an old view, but maybe they'll try to revive it, saying, you can't tell us what to do, bar, if I'm complying with what the president told me or whatever. But it's shining a spotlight on conduct that I think it's likely the bar will say is really problematic. And it is really problematic, in addition to the violations of the particular provisions and ethical rules, like reaching out to represented people when you're a prosecutor. Just in general, this guy's been very much a sort of political actor, someone who's been in there trying to land blows for Trump and Republicans. That's part and parcel of the really bad degradation of department norms, rules, the way you go about doing things since the new gang came to town, and probably no one more so than Martin, who is interim in the biggest office in the country. So pretty big pushback when 10 senators write this letter, and it's now in the hands of the bar, and we'll see what, if anything, Martin tries to do about it. In general, there's some reason to think that his confirmation, he's been nominated, may be a little dicey. One Republican senator has gone so far as to say, I don't know if we can confirm this guy for now. So this happens in the context of a pretty growing conflict about his prospects for being confirmed for the pretty big job that he has, A, no experience at, and B, no sense of propriety toward in the Trump administration. So we'll see how that plays out. Talk to you later. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.